Hi guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to turn a stack of t-shirts into a t-shirt blanket like this, which requires no sewing and only a few materials. So I'm going to show you step by step how I made this. It's a gift from my sister and I know she'll be excited to get it. I had about 22 t-shirts, so I decided to get rid of 2 of them so it would be a 4x5 blanket, 4 t-shirts by 5 t-shirts, and that worked out well for me. And when you're choosing your own, it kind of depends on how big you want your blanket to be, how much t-shirts you have, because you want to make sure it'll be even. So I had 2 extra that just would not have made a full row, so you want to make sure you're able to make equal rows. So for my supplies that I used the Fiskars 3-piece quilting set, which I chose just because it's already at my house. And it has this nice mat, which you'll see throughout the tutorial, laid out in a grid of inch squares. And then it has this rotary blade, just a circular blade, which is nice. This I used for to make sure all my edges were straight on my t-shirt. And then I also just have a pair of fabric scissors. And to be honest, if you don't have any of this other supplies, you really just need scissors that can work on fabric. So then you're going to start with cutting the t-shirts. So I cut the sleeves and then I just cut down from the sleeves on both sides. So you can see me doing this here, and I sped up a clip a little bit just so it wasn't super long. And then you can see I flip it up and straighten it out so I can measure it. So then you want to decide the size of your t-shirt squares. So I did all of my squares of 14 by 14 when I cut them out from the t-shirt, and then when I went in later for the ties, I cut around 1 inch on each side, so it ended up being a 12 by 12 square. And you can adjust the size depending on your preferences, but I just found this to be easy. And they were all the same size, so I didn't really have to do that much math, but you can adjust it to your own preferences. So you see here me in this video, I'm using the white board to keep a straight line and my rotary blade to cut, but you can use fabric scissors if you don't have it. So here is one of my t-shirt squares, and I lined it up on the grid. And you can see I'm going to just start cutting 1 inch squares, 1 inch wide and about 1 inch deep, trying to keep them all uniform. And I'm going down the length of the whole t-shirt. And you're just going to keep making these 1 inch little inlets throughout the whole t-shirt. So this video is clearly sped up, but you can see that I'm doing it across the length of the whole t-shirt and then counting to make sure I have the right amount of ties. And on the corners, I cut out a 1 inch square to make it 12. And then you're going to repeat this process with each of your t-shirts. So kind of tedious. What I did is while I was making this bracelet is I was just watching some TV, which made the process go by easier. So you can see I line the 2 cut t-shirts up side by side, and then you're going to start tying them from top to bottom. So you can see here I did a first knot, and I'll show you guys in a second what the knot is, but basically you're crossing them and pulling them, and then you do the same knot twice so it stays in place. And you're going to do this throughout the length of the whole 12 knots, so one side of your t-shirt. So I'm going to show you with longer strips what the knot is like so you can get a better look at what it is. So you're going to grab each strip with one hand and you're going to cross them over each other, making an X. And then with the one on top, you're going to pull it under through the hole, like that. And then you pull it, and then you do the same knot again so it stays in place. So you're going to cross it over each other. The thread on top comes under, through the hole, and then you pull it. And that's the knot used on everything in this blanket. So here's 4 tied together to make a row. So here you can see I lined up a row of 4 with an already existing 2 rows of 4 that I had previously connected. So I start with the very left, and then I continue to just work my way down throughout the length of the whole blanket. So I'll go t-shirt by t-shirt, doing each one of them, just tying the 2 together, kind of like how we tied them together side by side, but now it's just vertical. And so same knot over and over, not super complicated. It just takes a while. Your hands may get a little tired, so make sure to stretch them out here and there, just so they don't cramp up or anything. So after you connect all the rows together, you're going to get a blanket that looks kind of like this. And so I've connected, oops, this is upside down. I've connected 5 rows of 4, so it's roughly 4 feet by 5 feet. So the next step is you're going to grab some fleece and you're going to line this up with it, and then you'll cut it out. So from here you can see that I lined up the blanket with the fleece, which I got the fleece bigger just so I would have extra room, just in case. And now it's looking like it's a bit too much. So I'm just going to use my fabric scissors and cut around it, leaving just an extra like 2 or 3 inches on the side. And you can get whatever fleece you want. I just chose purple because that's my sister's favorite color. However, if you wanted to match like the blanket, you could do that. So colors that would match this would be like blue or black or yellow or green. So if you look here on the fleece, you can tell, if you go in a little closer, it has dots and it's kind of looped, curled over in the back. So I'm going to make sure I cut this stuff out. You can see it goes along the length of a whole side along with the parallel side. So you can see now I cut off most of the extra fleece, which I'll still probably cut off a little bit more later. But now I'm gonna do little 1 to 2 inch strips all along the border that'll correspond with the number of strips on each t-shirt. So that'll be 12 for each t-shirt on each side. So a total of 48 across and 60 up and down. So you can see here I'm just marking. You can see here I'm just going down and cutting 1 inch strips, 1 inch wide strips, in about, I don't know what this is, but maybe like 1.5 inches deep strips. And I'm just gonna do that the whole length of all of the sides. So you see I'm just cutting. And this mat is really nice because it has all of the inch markings on it, and so it makes it easier to tell how wide everything is. So as you can see here, it's the same knot, just cross and under, pull, and do it again, but this time you're doing it with fleece, so one of them is a bit thicker. So it's a little bit harder, but it's fine. And then you're doing that the whole length of the blanket. So cross, under, pull, same thing. Okay, you can stop it. So as you're tying, the edges will curl up just a little bit. Okay, so this is what the final product will look like. You can see all the ties, and then from the back side, basically just fleece, and it has a little bit extra because my fleece piece was bigger. And so now you can either use this as a blanket or you can give it as a gift, which is what I'm going to do.